Okay, I've got a Whirlpool Microwave, no nameplate model, the UMC model. Anyway, I have no power. Intermittently, if we slam the door hard enough, you'll get power for a little bit, maybe one cycle or two, or none at all. And sometimes what can be the problem is these three switches here, 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 and here. And you'll have to disconnect them just like I did this one here, and make sure the door is closed, because what it does, it continues the circuit that has voltage on it, or for whatever thermal device to let it turn on. So what we're going to do here is the door is in a closed position. That means the switch is good. Okay, and if the door is open, the circuit will be open, as we can see here. Nothing, no dinghy, but once we close it, oh, lost contact. There you go. So there it tells you there that the switch is good. All three of these switches checked out, so I was scratching my head. I kept banging and closing the door. I kept getting intermittent power. Then I went up here and I started tapping on this thermal fuse here, which is over here now. It's already disconnected. And what it should read as is a short. You should get the tone if you have that type of resistor circuit, or tester that has the tone in it. This has no tone. As you can see, no tone. All right, and that means it's an open circuit. So that means that the limit, which is 120 degrees, has been surpassed by this microwave, and now has opened up this thermal fuse. Now you also have another one on top of your I think it's your cathode for your microwave, that also tells if it's overheating. And that will read as a short, but I'm not going to go across that one. I'll go across the one here that just came in the package here from the Amazon. It's hard to do it with one hand here, but that's a good circuit there. That's how it should sound. It should be a short. So when you have these go out, you have to read the number, which is basically right here on the face, and punch that in the computer and just keep searching until you find somebody that sells it. Okay, some of these are not sold on Amazon. Some of these are sold by other people that still carry those parts, and you're going to have to go through them and get them, because that's what you're going to need. If you go a higher rating and you do have a situation like what was going on here, is popcorn was constantly getting burned in this microwave and causing almost a fire. So basically overheating the microwave, and popped this thermal fuse. And once a thermal fuse goes bad, it can be intermittent, because it's just a wire or resistor in there that'll basically pop. And if you joggle it enough, or slam the door a couple times, or hit it with a screwdriver like I did, I kept tapping it and it would come on and it would work. I could cycle it, I could run it, and then once I opened the door and closed it again, it wouldn't work again. So it was intermittent. So that tells you right there that the thermal fuse was bad. Once we put the new one in, fire it up, it'd be no problem. Another way you can check it to make sure that it's the thermal fuse is basically just somehow sandwich these wires together to complete the circuit, like such. And then what you'll do is you'll power it up, be very careful, and just look for a display. Once you got a display on here, you're good, because that means your circuit is continuously closed. So make sure you put all your switches back together and close them back in before you do that. And then make sure this is not touching any metal, because you're dealing with high voltage here. That's a high voltage capacitor. That thing will kill you, okay? And with the power on also, this transformer can kill you. This is a deadly transformer. So you better know what you're doing before you start messing around with this stuff, electronically wise or electrical wise. But if you just want to do a bypass like that to make sure that that's a bad component, you can go that route. That's up to you. Typically a resistance reading, if that reads open, when it's a normally closed circuit, that tells you right there that's bad. You know, you want to get ridiculous and go whole hog to make sure that that's absolutely positively the problem. Then you bypass it and run the, you know, just fire up the unit. You'll plug it in, that display comes on. That means this loop of circuits and all these protections are all closed, and that's what happens here. This is a closed circuit. So if this opens up, this means this overheated, and now it blew that. Okay, so same thing with the fuse here. This fuse can blow also on these, and also the capacitors are known to just go bad. You know, for no reason, they just go. You know, but that's another world to search into later on. But for these models here, typically it's these switches here, all three of these switches, or this thermal fuse here, or this motherboard. Okay, if it's the motherboard, it's typically this relay right here, and you're gonna have to do a lot of soldering and remove it and put a new one on. And thank goodness my situation, it just ended up being a thermal fuse, so I've got a couple more miles on this thing. But if it comes down to the circuit board, you'll be really shocked when you get this board to you. It's going to come with no components on it. You got to solder everything off of this, and then get this relay and solder that on yourself. So if you're into micro miniature soldering, that's what you're going to be doing. So these boards are incomplete, and usually they just say throw them away. So after owning this for 1 year, this thing's already given me problems. It's like every microwave I've had, I've gone through 4 microwaves now so far. So it's just, you got a big family, they use it a lot. Unfortunately, they don't build them like they used to. So the old dial ones, I think they were Japan or whatever who made them. But anyway, I'm rambling on there. But that's basically the problem with these, is usually these switches here, this motherboard, or the thermal fuse. Now you know how to do it. Hope this helps you out. Worked for me.